That's just a little bit of an issue, but it's good now. Camera's rolling, and let me go ahead and snap. This is take 3. Use this one.
How often does the flooring need to be cleaned?
There's a good question out there about how often you have to keep a floor clean. What's your maintenance regimen? A good question also was, well, how often do you have to clean your car? Well, you'd clean your car when it's dirty. The problem, though, is that we're dealing with active use areas. We have gymnasiums where we have people that are running, jumping, diving, such as playing, activities that would go along with playing volleyball, aerobics, yoga, basketball, and other physical recreational activities. So keeping that clean is paramount. How often you have to do it, it can be affected by a couple of things. Number one, it can be affected by traffic. It can also be affected by what we call atmospheric soiling. Atmospheric soiling can also be controlled in various ways, but it can account for about 70 to 80% of the soiling that actually comes into a building. Keeping that clean, especially on a gym floor, especially in floors that have active use, is quite important. It can be as little as once a week or once a month. It's hard to say. It just has to be clean. Dirt and dust can really affect the friction levels of a floor. All of the flooring that we produce, whether it be our wood flooring or all of our synthetics, they'll have finishes on them. They're all tested to meet friction levels that accommodate gameplay, whether it be recreational gameplay or competitive gameplay. So allowing dirt and dust, and even though you may not see it, can dramatically impact the friction levels, the optimal gameplay or optimal recreation. All of our flooring will either, again, have a factory applied finish, such as Omnisport. It already has a polyurethane treatment to it. Our linoleum, for example, our Polyturf Plus Pad and Pour has a top coat. And wood flooring has finishes on it as well. Putting waxes or sealers or other types of coatings on there that haven't been tested, a lot of them have not been tested according to, such as ASTM F2772 for friction levels. So it can be a dangerous thing to apply finishes on there that don't necessarily meet the requirements for that space. We have a host of various cleaners in our maintenance guidelines. All of them are VOC compliant. That we don't recommend the use of solvents or anything like that, especially with our synthetic floors. And all of them are VOC compliant. They're basically green cleaners. There's actually new cleaning methods out there which are encouraging, where we have auto scrubbers that use ionized water, and they don't use detergents at all. There's also non-detergent cleaners, such as Split, for example, that we recommend, that can actually get rid of, that particular product can actually remove residues from a floor if that becomes a concern. There's a good question about how frequent one should maintain a floor. It needs to be understood that these types of areas are for active use, whether they're playing basketball or volleyball or other physical recreation or competitive gameplay. So it's really important, because of active use, because people are running, jumping, diving, spinning, that it has to stay always clean. The frequency of that can be determined by the amount of traffic, but also about atmospheric soiling. Atmospheric soiling is a big word, but basically what that means is that everything that's coming in from the outside can come inside of the building and contaminate the floor. It can be up to 70 to 80% of soiling that actually gets entered into a building can be from atmospheric soiling. So keeping all of that clean is super important. When it comes to the accumulation of contaminants, which would be dust, dirt, debris, and other things that get introduced onto the surface of a floor, it can dramatically impact the friction level. When we create flooring, the friction level is tested according to ASTM F2772 for the United States and Canada, and we have specific friction levels that we want to maintain for optimum gameplay. We have a number of different products between our Omnisport, our Polyturf Plus Pad and Pour. We have our EcoPure linoleum, we have wood floors and rubber floors. For gymnasiums, with Omnisport, for example, it already comes with a factory-applied polyurethane finish that's a permanent treatment to the floor. So we don't want to put any waxes or sealers or other coatings on top of that could adversely affect the friction level. We have a host of recommended cleaners within our maintenance guidelines. All of the cleaners that we recommend are VOC, green cleaners. There's no harsh solvents or anything like that that's required to clean our floor.